Hello, everyone, and I welcome you to tonight's class. So, tonight's class will be the end of like formula and function in Microsoft Excel, and by Thursday, we'll be trying to lay our hands on how you can build a dashboard using Microsoft Excel. And after that, by next week, we'll continue. We'll start the use of Power BI. So we'll start how to use Power BI for data analysis, how you can do some basic data cleaning with Power BI, and how you can build a dashboard using Power BI and just do some basic analysis with Power BI. Then after that, we can move to the use of Python. Then I think the end part is the use of structured query language, which is SQL. So tonight, we'll still play around Microsoft Excel function and formula, and also some basic visuals. I've showed us how to use pivot table, how you can also use chart. I may proceed by showing us conditional formatting, like just representing your key values in a conditional way where you can use some symbols to represent, okay, if this particular sales is doing well or is doing, like there's a way you can use some basic chart to some basic symbol using conditional formatting to represent what is really going on from your data set. And when people see it, it will kind of easier for them to really understand what is going on. So tonight, just like I said, I will major on some of the Microsoft Excel and function, and I've shared the data set I'll be using with us earlier. And that's I think I said that yesterday, but we could not use it. So that's what we'll be using tonight. And in the data set, I think I've solved almost everything, and I asked us to have tried to lay our hands on them. So I would have actually assumed by just moving to like dashboard and do some visualization, then we can move on. But I felt like it's not everybody that may really have the ability to just take it on their own and really understand what is going on. So that's why I just still want to use tonight's class to explain that. Then next, which is Thursday, I'll also be doing more of data cleaning, visualization, and also putting everything together in form of dashboard. Then after that, we can proceed to the using of Power BI, just like I said earlier. So I'm going to share my screen now. And if you have the data already, just put the data on your Microsoft Excel as well so that you can practice along. And if you don't have access to a good Microsoft Excel, you can also make use of spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet. They both work in the same way, so you can also try to do that. So I'm trying to share my screen, and okay, I believe everybody can see my screen here. Let me check. Okay, I think everybody can see my screen, but I will just try to make it bigger so that it can easily be seen by everyone. So let me try 150 and see how it's going to look. Okay, I think this size is actually great for us to see. So this size is actually great, at least for us to see. So I'll just start from this first part of this data set. I think I've explained this yesterday, but I'll just start it and just move right from here. So in this data set consists of chocolate chips, oatmeal rising, sugar cookie. And in this company, they have cost, they have revenue, and they are also trying to get their profit. So I'll just try to be explaining it because I've done it, but just do a run through. So when you are getting a profit, this is just like basic mathematics, like try to you are trying to remove cost from your revenue. And don't forget, like as a data analyst, there are several times where you will be given like a data set, that the data set will just be like a background to solve the problem that you they really want you to solve. So most of the time is not like your analysis may not even based on the data itself, but that data may be just like a back. It's just like when they are giving you revenue and cost, for example. The company may only be interested in the profit, but revenue and cost is not a profit, but profit, you are going to get your profit by you minusing your cost from your revenue. What I'm trying to say is that revenue and cost are now a background for you to get a profit, but in the data set initially they may not be a profit. So most of the time as a data analyst we end up doing things like this by you getting a data set where you need to use that data set to further calculate some things that will now be used to get your actual insight or get your actual information that you'll be using for your analysis. So in this scenario, we already have revenue, we already have cost, and how you can get your profit is just by minusing your cost from your revenue. And it's just like a basic formula. You just need to locate the position of your revenue, the cell where your revenue belongs, and also the cell where your cost belong. So just like in this scenario, we have our revenue is B2, we are trying to minus B3 from B2, which is the profit, which is the cost. Cost is the B3 while revenue is B2. So you minusing them will give you this, and this is also the same. You can see C2, which is the revenue, we are minusing cost from the revenue, and we also did the same here, which is D2, D3 minus D2. So D3 is the cost while D2 is the revenue. Same, but the total here you already know that okay, for you to get the total, you can either write out the formula, just like maybe like you want to add up everything, you can add b b4, okay, which is the profit is b4 plus c. Okay, let me just see if I can just try to let me just see. So I'm trying to see b4. Okay, this b4 is just like summation of all this by using the function sum b4 to d4. That's like a range. So and we can do it manually by just using okay equals to b4 plus b, okay, plus c4 plus d4. So if I click enter, you see that we are also getting the same, but here we are using function sum. So here we are just typing out the formula. So depending, but using a formula at times take a longer time than you using a function. So there are some scenario where you just what you just need to do is just use the function and get it done and just forget about it. But at times too, formula may be the best option than function. So depend on the two. So and after getting the profit here, this particular person maybe like dey stay in a country where paying tax is very mandatory, So if you are in a, maybe where they have their company is a state or a country where paying tax is very very important, so they need to check their tax and be able to calculate it on their profit. So calculating it on their profit, they won't really rejoice much like on the profit until they are able to minus their tax from it. So and how can you do it? They already know that okay, in this country 10% of anything you have is your tax rate. So they already know that 10% is their tax rate, and on every profit they have to calculate their tax rate, which is 10%. So they already know that if they are getting 10,000, 10% of 10,000 is their tax. So and 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. So they need to calculate it, not to really over rejoice on their profit. And how can they do that? They can do that by multiplying their profit times the percentage of their tax rate. But this is where absolute referencing comes in place. You see that the first one was just like okay, b multiply by this, minus this, or b3 minus b2. That is, we are just referencing, not like we are doing absolute. That is, this is their actual sales that we are referencing, and nothing should alter it. So now when e now come to okay, you want to multiply a single, you want to uh so you want to multiply it for the you want to multiply that single value with all the tax. So or maybe like it may not be tax, it may be something else. So you need to use absolute referencing by using dollar before the G, or like just try to locate where the cell is, then try to lock it. Then when you lock it by using the dollar sign before and after, when you drag it to other column or other like where you want to auto complete it, there will not be an issue. So it's going to calculate it correctly because you've actually done your absolute referencing, and you will see that that's just the same thing from here. So we also did actual profit. So now what the company will make like what the company will rejoice on is what the company can actually calculate on as their profit is the actual profit after they have minus. Now the first thing we did is calculating the profit alone without tax. The second is calculating the tax on the profit. Now once we have gotten our profit and also our tax, we need to minus the the profit minus, like we need to minus the tax from the profit. And when you now minus the tax from the profit, that's like their actual profit, and that's the profit they can actually do anything with because now they've removed their tax and they've paid it. And in this scenario you can just use like formula, that is just minusing your profit, your tax from your profit. And here their actual profit here is 18,000 and the initial profit was 20,000, but once they remove their tax, which is 2,000, they are able to get they are able to get 18,000 naira. And also here as well, we are able to minus the profit, we are able to minus the tax from their normal profit to give us the actual profit that they are now that they need to work with, maybe like to make a budget on. So then that's what we did for all this. So the actual profit is just like you are minusing your tax from your profit, and that can be done using a formula instead of function. So then this is just for profit split. That is, what is the profit split? Although this does not really have a significant impact in the analysis, because this is just like you splitting your profit. And how can you do that? It's just like dividing it by two. So you try to locate your the addition of all the profit, but this profit is without the profit, the profit split is without the tax, and you are trying to divide it by two. So just to get it, like this is like addition. what is it called, E4 is the addition of all the profits, and you are trying to take the split, so divided by two, but it does not really have direct impact, only if things like that is being requested of. Then you are now trying to consider the tax as well. So after minusing your tax, but I think this should be the real value, because any profit that you are getting without removing the tax, that's not actually your profit, especially if it is in a country where it is very mandatory for you to pay your tax. So you need to consider your tax first before considering the rest of the money. So that is all about this. So I'll be moving to another, because I have a lot of all this Excel here, and I believe that most of us should have gone through it. That's why I'm just going to make it brief. Like, I'm not going to type some of them out myself again. So I'll just do it in a way that I'll be able to cover all of them. So, and that's one of the reason why I have like sent the data earlier. So what else do I still want to? So I believe everybody would have checked it. So let me just try to remove this. So this is just another data set, and in this data set, what we have here is we have data of we have like two different data here. Okay, let me try to zoom it for people that may not be able to see it. Let me try to make it bigger a bit. So I have two data sets here. I have for chocolate chips, like we have like certain chocolate chips abi. We have cookies names and we have cookies sold. So this is just like a basic data of some certain cookies bought, or maybe like a company is selling a cookie, right? And they are trying to keep a record of how many cookies being sold and the names of the cookies sold. So they are considering the names of the cookies and also the numbers of sold, each sold of each cookie. So they tracking this, it help them to know, okay, what kind of cookies is actually making sense or making more sales, or the one that is not making sales. So this is just and this is the priority of every company. They want to track the progress of their sales and know if this particular product is actually making sense or is not, so that they can know if they need to improve it or they need to stop producing it. So, and as a data analyst, your job is just to leverage on their data to be able to figure out all these things and make sure to make some certain recommendation to them for them to improve their product or the sales. So here, as a data analyst, when you get a data set, although it always comes in two sides, you may be the one to formulate some of the question that you need to answer with your data. And also, it may be that the company already has they already had, like they have something that they always answer, like they already have a question that they always want their data analyst to answer with the data. So if you fall into the category of you being the one to just state out some of the question, although it may be hard for you, especially if you are just joining the company, but it's not really hard. What you just need to do is try to ask more question. Is very important. Ask the stakeholders questions on what is their priority, so that you won't assume, because once you assume, your assumption can lead to being biased, and bias can skew your result. So you need to ask some certain question from them. So once you ask that question will lead to the kind of question you can formulate to answer with the data. And once you've answered, like once you've asked them a lot of questions, that question is going to help you to understand their data, for you to be able to leverage on the data. And if the company already has a certain like they already had this problem statement or what exactly they want you to answer with their data. That at times I think that is even kind of easier because what you just need is connecting the dot of the data to solve the certain problem that they have. But in this data set here we have some question which is how many cookies sold. We have most of the cookies sold, we have list of the cookies sold, we have second most sold, we have second least sold, we have numbers of cookie with sales, then we have average sold, we have what is the middle, we have what occur most frequently. This can be like one of their priority. Like you can just see this as a simple things, right? Just because the way this can be like exactly what you'll be doing for a big company. They want to see how many cookies sold, or it may not necessarily be a cookie, it may be their product. So it may be like how many phones are being sold, how many laptop is being sold, how many particular stuff in a retail company, different kind of anywhere you find yourself. So they may need you to find it even based on a very large data set, and your ability to now know how to connect the dot of using some of the basics that you know to tackle those large data sets will now be left to you as a data analyst. So now how many cookies sold? If you want to get how many cookies sold, you have to sum like the whole cookies sold. So if the question is coming to you that how many cookies sold, that is there must be a summation of all the cookies sold. That's what they want to know. How many cookies sold? So this data set may be larger than this. It may even be 3,000, 4,000 rows. But your priority is just to create the range and sum it. So that's just like the answer to how many cookies sold, which is sum then open bracket, you just specify the range. So I believe that this is not new because I've been teaching formula and function before. So that's why I will not be able to I will not be typing some things out so that it will make me to be faster, and I'll be able to explain more than typing. And I believe most of us on the call, we are not new to this again. This is like maybe third class on formula and function. So after specifying your function, you try to put the range. That is what next. And the question we are trying to answer is how many cookies sold, and we are trying to sum those particular rows where the numbers of cookies belong. So I will just click on enter and I can see that I have 421, which is that 421 cookies sold. The answer to how many cookies sold is 421, and this is data driven because the summation is based on the data. It's not like we are formulating what it is. So then now the second question is most of the cookies sold, that is they want to know the cookies that has the highest sold, like as add abi they want to know the cookie that have the highest sales. And it's also very important because they may want to track some of the product, like they may want to know the product that is really making sense, that people are really patronizing, people are buying from them. They may want to produce more or maybe like increase their advertisement. So it's very important to know the highest. So and for you to know the highest, you go with maximum. So maximum function will give you the highest. So if I click on enter now, so I'm getting 97. And if we trace here, we can see that chocolate chips is the most desired. Like people purchase chocolate chips than any other cookie name. So the next one is least cookie sold. So the least one is the minimum, that is the one that have the least sales. And in this scenario they may want to know that okay, this one, the one that has the minimum, if there's a way they can stop producing it, maybe people are not really demanding for it, or maybe like they are not really promoting it or advertising it for people to know. So they may want to change their strategy, they may want to improve it, they may want to know if it's just like a product that people don't care more about, and they can stop producing it so that they won't waste their effort and resources on it. So if you are getting something minimum, like just the least, you use minimum to get that, and you put the range in front of it, like inside the bracket. And here if I click on enter, so I'm getting 36, 36. So here is easily like feasible that fortune has 36. So 36 is the least, and it may be like people don't really eat fortune again, or it's something that the company should just stop without wasting their time on it. So the fourth question is second most sold. So once they, like, we've recognized the one that has the highest sales, which is the chocolate chips, now we want to see the second most sold. And the second most sold here, what is the formula for doing that? The formula for doing the second most sold is using large function. So we use large function, then after providing the range, you also specify two. I believe you can see what is on the screen here. So large function, then you give it the range, which is the range is from C3 to C9, then comma 2. So you open bracket and close it. Dat comma 2 is showing that the most highest sold of the cookies. So if I click enter, I have 77, and 77 here has ultimate rising, and that is like the second most desired product, or the second most desired cookies. So they may also need to upgrade it or try to do one or two things to make it better. So we also have the second least sold. Second least sold here, the function you can use is small, which is equals to small open bracket C3 to C9, which is the range, then comma 2. So comma 2 will give you the second least sold, but you have to use small. Just like second most sold, we use large. You know, the highest and the smallest, we go with maximum and minimum. So these are just like basic function that you need to take note of while you are practicing on your own. So we also have another question which says numbers of cookies with sales. So we want to know the numbers of cookies with sales, and in this scenario you may be thinking that okay, count should be like your best options here. So if you use count will give you like the numbers of cookies with sales, but in some certain settings, like count will only work with only number, while count A will work with the cookies name. So if you are going with the numbers of the cookies sold, count will work, but if you are going with the names of the cookie, like cookies name, you can only use count A. So if I click on here, you can see the first one I work on is I use count A. Count A can only count the cookies name because they are text, they are not number. It will only be feasible for us to know the numbers of cookie with sales by using count A. So count A will give you that result. So you use count A, then put the range in front of it. So if I click on enter, it's going to show. And if I'm using count, like if you are working with number, if I just want to calculate the numbers of cookies sold, I'm going to use count. But if I'm going with the cookie names, cookies name sold, like if I want to know the numbers of the cookie with sales, I have to use count A. So let's take note of that while we are practicing. So also I also have like average sold. I want to know the average sold of my cookies, and average is just like the best function. When you put the average, you open, just make sure you put equals to average, then open bracket, put in the range. So you are going to get your answer. So just to get the average. So what is in middle? You can also check the middle by using the function media. So media will give you what is actually in the middle of your cookie sold. Like you want to know the middle sales, like the one in the middle. And I believe that most of us are familiar with median. So median will give you that. Then what occurs most frequently? So the cookies that occurs most frequently is like just like a modal class in statistics. So we may want to see the modal class of our cookies, and if we click on that, mode will give us the modal class, that is the one that appear often or most often. So you use equals to mode, then open bracket, put in the range, and you get your answer. So 52 occur twice, and this happens to be for Snickers doodle. Then we also have birthday cake. So these are just like 52, 52, and they are the 52 is the modal class of each of this particular data. So those are like basic questions we've answered. Then I also have another data here, right here. So this one is actually keeping tracks of people that are attending classes, where we have Kunle, Victor, Tolu, Funmi, Kola, Sola, Olamide. So these are just like basic names of students attending classes, and we have their age range. We also have, because their age range may be what is contributing to them coming to class or they not coming to class. So that may be, maybe they are too old, or maybe some of them are married and they are not really chance to showed up in class. So it may be a determinant and it may not. So then we have numbers of times each of them appears in class. And just to keep track, we have some certain question here that I actually formulated, and just like, okay, based on this, these questions can be what you can actually thought of, just like from your thought process, you working on it. And as I said, it may be like you asking intelligent questions from your stakeholders or anybody you are working with. So here, some of the questions I was able to formulate, I formulated numbers of students that attend classes. So I want to know the numbers of students that attend classes, just like this kind of live classes I'm doing. So I may want to know the numbers of students that attend classes. And how can I do that? I can use that by using count A, like that is highlighting all the names of people coming and try to keep tracks of them. So count A will only works on the name because they are text. So count A, then put in the range at which those name fall, and I'm able to see that, okay, in my class I only have 12 people. So 12 people are my students coming to my class, but it's just that the numbers of time they appear in my class differs, but they are just like, I just have 12 students. So if the second questions I was able to thought about is, what is the maximum time attendees attend classes? So I want to check the maximum time, and what you use is just like a normal, like what we've used before. We use marks, then try to highlight the numbers of times present. So I have marks, then open bracket K3, then K3 to K14. That's just like the range where the numbers of time was present. So I'm able to track, okay, the person that attend my class the most, that is the person that has the highest attendance. Maybe I want to reward them with something at the end of the class. So as a data analyst, there is a lot that these skills can actually do for you. So now I'm able to see that this, I only have 6. What is the maximum time attendee attended? So attendee attended my class, the maximum is 6. And I can also, after creating a filter here, I can just remove this and just click on 6 alone, then try to see. So in this, I can see that I only have 2 students that came 6 times, and they are the one that have, if I'm presenting a gift to them at the end of the course, they are just the only 2 that are eligible, because okay, they are the one that came the highest, and the age of the first one is 26, while the second is 24, and their name is Tolu and Shola. So I can easily keep tracks of them by using that. So let me click on this and I'm back here. So another question I was able to thought about is, what is the maximum age of students in the class? Also want to, I also care about the maximum age of my students, so that I can know maybe like how to address them, some of the language that as a tutor I may not be able to say to them because of their age barriers and all. Or maybe like there's a way I need to explain so that I'll be able to carry them along. So I may not be too fast. I just want to know the diversity of the age in my class. And these are just like basic things you can, when you see data, just keep thinking about this, about that, and once you get them done, you can actually get it from your data, especially when you are working on a project, a real life project. So now to check for the maximum age of the students, I have to use maximum on their age column, and when I click on enter, I'm able to get that okay, I have 40 as my maximum age. I also care about checking for minimum age to also know those that maybe like that they are not that old, and just to know how I can relate with them. So I can use equals to minimum here, min, then bracket J3 to J14. So if I click on enter, I can see that 23 years old is like the list of my class, and I can also filter them to see the numbers of people that actually have this particular age. So the next thing is, what is the minimum time attendee attended my class. So I also want to know, okay, what is the minimum time all these people showed up in class, and be able to track those that so in my class in bare minimum, so that we know the kind of student that are not serious, and some of the student that may end up just removing from the class. Or let me just see, maybe people are facing difficulties with the course, and for me to be able to track who and who is facing difficulties, are they people that are coming to my class often, or are they people that are not? So this can be the reason for doing that. And I can see like you use minimum, and minimum gave me that one is actually the least. And if I also uncheck it and use that one, just to see who and who are there. So I only have Kemi of 27 age, which came to my class just once, and I can see if he's not a serious person, and I may end up removing her from the class. So also average, or maybe like just to reason with her, maybe he's facing some challenges, that is why we are not seeing. Like as a data analyst, you are just meant to provide a solution. So after investigating your data, for you to be able to say what should be done for further correction or further improvement. So average numbers of time attended classes, you use average to do that. So that's like something that we are all familiar with before. So let me move. And all these things as well, you can also try to use visual. So you can also use visuals for them. So in this, I can create a chart with this my question. So let me just click on insert, then check my recommenders chart. So I can, okay, let me just use this recommender chart. So this is recommender chart here, average numbers of time attendee, and if this thing is really making sense, I can go with it, and if it is not making sense, I can find another chart. So here also I want to check my some of the questions that I've wrote here. I want to create a visuals on them that can easily show me some of all these things with pictures, that I can easily see in picture and identify what exactly I'm doing. So and you can see here as well how many cookies sold. You can see the numbers of them most sold cookies. So you see that this visuals is based on the question, not the real data set anymore. So you can play around with just having different charts. So just click on insert, click on chart, then you can go with recommended chart, and you can also try to pick another chart. So depending on what exactly you want to do. So now we also have some conditional, like we have some conditional function, and we also have, yeah, let me just say conditional function. So you can also put some condition while summing or doing some basic calculation. So you may not just do it directly, you may need to place some certain condition to exactly what you are doing. So now in this data set we have cookies name, we have country, we have cookie sold, and these cookies names we have chocolate chips, oatmeal rising, sugar cookies. These are just like basic names of the cookies that you have. And we also have like countries in terms of United States, India, and Philippines. And we also have this cookie sold. So in this scenario, you may want to add like just cookie sold in United States alone, or you may want to add the cookie sold in India alone, or you may just want to add the cookie sold in United States and Philippines alone. So in this, if you are not writing a condition for your summation, you are not going to get the result that you should get. So that's why conditional setting. So you have to use like a certain condition to get this result. So here I have some formulated question as well. I have chocolate chips sold in India. So I want to get the total sold or the total sales of cookies sold in India. And I can also go further by also checking in only United States. So I can use filter, I can create filter here to get it solved, and I can also use function to also get it sorted. So if I click on insert here, I want to create filter. So now I've created a filter. So if I create a filter, I can just check for, okay, I want to check for India alone. So if I want to calculate the sum of cookies sold in India, it will be very easier for me in this way. So what I'm just going to do is I'll just sum it and I'll get my answer. And if I also want to filter with, okay, I just want to filter with United States alone, I'm still also going to get United States alone. And I may also come to cookie name. I may also go to cookies name, then just try to check them by their product name. So let me check for chocolate chip. Then checking for chocolate chips, I can see that chocolate chips is only sold in United States. It's sold twice in India, and it's also sold once in Philippines. And we can see here that India tend to patronize chocolate chips more than other country. So we can make our inference, or maybe like our observation, by showing that okay, India patronize or buy more cookies. So the company chocolate chips rather, they buy more chocolate chips, and we can tell the company to invest more or produce more chocolate chips and send it to India, or maybe like have an industry there where there can be a production of chocolate chips in India, because we have 75 and 20 numbers of sales. But in United States we only have 28, while Philippines still makes sense, we have 55. This is just like ways of tracking those performers and know what is going on. And all these things can be included in your suggestion and your observation. So I want to check for sugar cookie, and you can see now that sugar cookie, the country that patronize sugar cookie here is that patronizes the most is Philippines. So we have they bought 92, they also bought 130, which is 32, 92 plus 130. That's like 200 and maybe 22, if I'm correct. So so just try to, somebody said it's not clear. That's like Jenny Chiwando. So what is not clear there, you can just type in that chat so that I can see, and if it's something that I can quickly just explain before I move on. So can you tell us what is not clear? Like I'm seeing a chart of not, is not clear. I've sent this data set before, and I think most of what I'm doing now, the formula is already there. So even if you try to check it out and you're just clicking on it, most of them you'll be seeing the formula. I'm just doing this just to explain them, not to just leave us with it. Because I was even planning of starting a dashboard, but I just feel like let me just try to run through and explain what is there. So can you just type, I'm still waiting, or should I just move on? My attention was called to the chat, that's why I'm asking. But if you are not asking, maybe I should just proceed because of our time. So what I'm just trying to do is just like I've created a filter, trying to fit, like I'm trying to filter those column to see, okay, this is what is, like I'm filtering this based on, like it's a normal logic, like I'm filtering it based on product, and this is it. Maybe I should do that again if maybe that's what is it. So if you want to create a filter, you can just highlight this, and just you highlight your table, like the table that you are working on, and this is the table, like this is data I'm working on. Then you just click on data. This is your home, right? But I don't know, Excel has updated version every time, so I don't know, maybe the version I'm using is the same with yours. But even if it is not the same, what we are trying to achieve is I want to create a filter for this table, and the first thing is you need to highlight it. So once you highlighted your data, you can click on data. Once you click on data at this upper side, so you just click on, look for filter, this filter. If I click on filter here, you can see that this filter has removed, but if I click on it again, so it has shown filter here. So you see that something is here. This is what we call filter. This filter, and what filter help us to do is just to work with a certain category. Like you can check the category or the unique category or the unique value in your data. Instead of using unique function, filter will help you to see the unique categories in your data. So in country like this, if I click on this, you see that I have India, Philippines, that is the unique characters, or the unique country in that column is just India, Philippines and United States. Those are things that been repeated over time that make the whole table. So if I just uncheck them, if I uncheck them and just leave India alone, you see that the only data that we are going to have in this table is just India alone. So we are not going to have anything, but I'm creating that based on country. So if I am now considering the cookie name, so I can now pick any cookie name of my choice as well to filter. Okay, for India for example, I can also filter this with, let me filter it with chocolate chips and see how they patronize it. So in India, the chocolate chips patronize, this is, I can get the totals of the part, like the cookies sold that they have in India based on chocolate chips. And I can also increase this by checking for birthday cake. So if India really care about birthday cake, you can see that India did not really care about birthday cake because they only have 58 sold of birthday cake. So if I proceed to check for United States, that is, I want to know if United States is a fan of birthday cake, because this can be useful. Maybe you just want to go and start a birthday cake business in United States, and you already have historical data that you can embark on. If your data is not being analysed properly, you may get there and fail with the product or fail with the business, because if the market is not carefully studied based on their previous data and see what is moving in their country, what they really care about, you may end up failing in that business. So now we can see that the numbers of birthday cake sold in United States is 44. So I can also check for Philippines and see the country that prioritize birthday cake. So here I have 34. So now it's looking like India is the one that has the, so let me even click on everything so that we can see it at once. So we can see here that for birthday cake alone, United States has a sales of 44, while India has a sales of 58, while Philippines has a sales of 34. So definitely if you are considering these three countries to have a business where you bake cake and sell to people, you can see that India will be your best option because India tend to patronize it more. So also you can also uncheck it with something else. Let me go with chocolate chips for the three country. So here for the three country, you see that India also prioritize chocolate chips, because India have like 75 and 30 sales. And if I also uncheck this and have, okay, let me click on Fortune. If I click on Fortune, you will see that Philippines and United States has a draw, like they have 100. So if you are thinking of starting a company where you want to be selling cookies name, you will consider, and you want to be selling Fortune specifically, you may consider United States and Philippines. So if I also click on Hotmail Rising, checking on the three, we can see here that the country that still prioritize Hotmail Rising is Philippines because they have 41. So let me just select all, and so that everything can appear. Yes, everything has appeared. So what I'm just trying to say is that there are times that you may want to go conditionally, like you don't just want to do things like just you want to sum everything, you want to, so you may pick it, and this is just like you are investigating the data, you are trying to learn from the pattern, you are trying to look for insight, because as a data, like this is one of the terrible aspect of being a data analyst. So you need to be like a dictator by trying to dictate some vital information from your data. Like it's not, because I most of the time I've come across people that they want to learn skill, they just want to learn it blue blue blue, like just learn and let me get certificate, and that's that is not really applicable to a field like this. You have to take your time, you have to pay attention to details, you have to like investigate that data, you have to inspect it, you have to really learn from the trends and pattern of your data. And those words are not like just big words, it's just like the way I'm doing it. You have to take your time in studying them and try to see which one is moving, which one need to be dropped, which one is contributing, which one is making sense, which one is not making sense. This can only be gotten from your being patient. So if you are not patient, I think this career is not for you. So People that said the screen is blur, I think is your network, because even right here I'm using my phone and also laptop, because I always use my phone to join with YouTube so that I can be seeing the chat and everything. And if you are facing any challenge, just click on the settings. When you click on the settings, you will see some various options of the quality, like the quality of the yeah, somebody already said it's your network, because even me, I always join with my phone and also with laptop so that I can keep tracks of the discussion in the chat box, because with laptop I will not be able to see it, so I have to be joining with the two. And even after the class you can also rewatch it, just put that settings of video quality, so then you can get it. So after that being said, we also have some if here, just like okay, chocolate chips sold in India. There's a way you can use some if in this. It's just like all these some ifs are more logic and it's not difficult, but you just have to pay attention. And maybe what I'm going to do is the next class I'll probably start from here, or I don't know if I can just leave us with the sheet, if you can just play around by checking them, because all of them already has the formulas and function that I use in the, like, you just once you click it you will see them, but the problem is just like some may not really understand it. That's the only issue that I have. Oh, somebody was asking me how to check blank. Blank is just what is that? I think blank should be equals to blank. Okay, can't blank. If you want to check for blank, the person asking for blank, you use can't blank. Can't blank. COUNT. Then you put blank in front. So you use can't blank. So can't blank is used to check the blank, the numbers of blank in your data set. So I think our class will soon end. So here we have some ifs, we have average ifs, we have can't if, we have mean if. What I'm just going to give us as like as assignment, but I'm not asking us to submit it to me. So and those that they are just submitting the assignment, I have not respond to them, I will still check your work, but it's just that the grade I will give, I'm going to reduce it, because I've already explained it in class before you do it. So I'm going to reduce the score, because I gave those that submitted earlier, I gave them score. So I'm going to share their score maybe later. But those that they are just submitting after me explaining yesterday, I'm going to reduce the score. So that's what I'm going to do, because I already explained it. So and I'm going to respond. It's just that I was kind of busy today. That's why I even scheduled the class kind of late and share to the group. So I'm going to take my time to respond and add our scores. And also another assignment is this. I don't expect us to submit this to me. So you just start from where I stop, which is from all these conditional statements. You can also play around with what is not here that you feel, because I know some may know Excel before joining the class, and maybe you know what I've not said here, or you can also play around it otherwise, so you can show everything. That it's just for you to explore more and learn more, because it's not everything that I'll be able to say. That's just the truth. So you can explore more by just playing around them, and most of them already has a formula and function that I use. It can't take you more than 2 hours. 2 hours is even too much. Just dedicate 2 hours tomorrow to just click on those things and just see some of those formula. I already dropped the data set on the group yesterday, so you can proceed by, let me check other things. So this is just like for conditional statement. I also did for text. This is for text. You can also check for text. You can also check for logic function. You can just do any one you can do. So I'm just taking my time for us to be able to understand Microsoft Excel, and we'll be able to move to other things. So this is where I'm going to stop tonight. So let's have a great night rest, everybody. So goodbye and see you on Thursday.